How's it going? I have just woke up. It is a brisk 4:45. And I'm going to show you a little bit of parallel drum compression. I have some drum tracks here that I've recorded in my basement. You know, you can see here it's pretty basic. There's just a few EQs on some things, mostly just for phasing. I don't have phase switches on my console, so that's what those are doing. 1 second here. I got to adjust the stereo mix. So we'll just listen to the drums. We're going to go through some parallel compression. I'll show you how to do it a couple different ways. I'll show you the main way that I do it when I do it, and then I'll show you how to do it with a plugin. So these are our drum sounds. Right now I've got them all going to one aux track. Just has, you know, the stock BF76 on top of it. Just doing some compression. So there's that. So what we're going to do here to start the parallel compression is send it all to another auxiliary and crush that really hard as the main parallel compression, which is the pretty basic way to do it. So I'm just going to duplicate this aux track, leave everything on it. I'm going to call this DS2 for drum sub 2. And now let's mute the main track, the main aux track for the drums, and compress the shit out of this. So I'm just going to go really basic here. I'm just going to compress it until it sounds nice and pumpy. And then I'm just going to EQ some of the bottom end out of it to keep it from getting too messy. Cool, there we go. There's our parallel track. Maybe I'll go a little harder on the compression. Cool. Now let's unmute our main track. We're going to turn this one down and we're just going to cheat it in. You can see it really does add some girth to those drums. One of the things is the kick and the snare, it really gets eaten down by these compressors. The kick and snare is most of the time the loudest in the drum mix. So what I'll do here is I'll make a mono aux track, and I'm just going to individually bust out the kick and snare. So I'm going to do these pre-faders so that they reflect on whatever I do mix-wise. That way I don't have to go changing a bunch of stuff. It is going to change, if I turn down the kick, the amount of compression that's getting to the compressor. But I would rather that be the case and then have to adjust my compressors than to have to adjust the volume of the... You know, I don't want to not pay attention and then all of a sudden the parallel compression is the loudest thing in the mix because I've turned down all the main tracks. I'd rather it, you know, simultaneously move down. So I'm going to mute these. Let's go ahead and choose this bus for the kick snare mono track. And I'm just, you know, gonna go super aggressive. And you can hear there's a lot of hi-hat in there in that snare mic. So I'm going to EQ some of that off after the compressor. What I'm really after here is extra punchiness in the drums. So I'm just going to A-B the bypass of this compressor. Yeah, way more powerful already. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this all the way down, unmute my main track and my parallel compression track, and then I'm going to cheat in this kick snare track. And then I'll group these parallel tracks and then just kind of get my mix from there. So you can see it really makes those drums a lot more punchy, a lot more firm. And there's, whatever EQ I did on the board is on this, and then there's some overhead EQ. There's really not much compression on this at all. It's all being parallel. So this is just kind of a rough example of how you would parallel compress. You can play around with it. You can send some cymbals to it, send some rooms to it, not send any of them if you just want to punch up the the close mics. I kind of like to get it compressed so I can hear more of the rooms. And then you also don't lose, a lot of dynamic with this because you are compressing in parallel. You still have, in my case, I still have the drums compressed on the main track, but that's just because I have nothing else done to them over here. No kick snare compression, no overhead compression, no room compression, except for one mic, I think I put through this 1176. But yeah, it's that simple. You get punchy drums. You still have the mostly uncompressed main drum sub. And this is how you would do it with aux tracks. Play around with it. Get it to how you want it. You can not send the kick and snare to this main parallel track and just do the rooms and overheads and stuff. And then send all of that to this other one. This is just the way I like to do it. When I do it, I do a whole parallel track, and then sometimes I lose punchiness in the kick and snare because of this parallel compression, so I'll do only a kick and snare parallel track. So I'll just A-B the parallel tracks in and out. So you can hear, you get a lot more of the room on the snare, a lot more of the room on the kick, and just a lot more girth. So I'll show you how to do this on the main track with a different plugin. I don't do it this way, but this is just another way you could do it. Some plugins do have a dry wet, and for this I'm going to use the Schoeps Omnichannel. And a dry wet or a mix on a compressor is a pretty cool function, I think. I'm going to put the compressor before the EQ, turn the compressor on, and we will go with optical first just to see what it sounds like. And right now I've got my mix right here at 100% wet, so we're hearing nothing but the compression right now. And I'm just flipping through the compressor types. For some reason, I've got a thing for the FET style compressors. I just like the way they sound. I don't know why. So now I'm just going to EQ a little bit after it because you can hear the cymbals are getting kind of crazy. Okay, cool. So this is where the dry wet comes in. So you can just back this off and do parallel compression all in this one plugin. There's a few different plugins like that. This is a Waves plugin, the Sheps Omnichannel. I got it for like $29. I think it's a pretty good deal. It's also got some distortion over here, some harmonic exciter, saturation, whatever you want to call it. So maybe we'll mess with that a little bit, just to kind of add more to it. And I do really like the de-esser on this because you can also use it as like a what would you call it? Multi-band compressor to a degree. So I'm just going to bypass the whole plugin. Cool, now let's back the mix off. I want to go in on some of this preamp saturation here too. Okay, cool. So now let's, I might be going way too hard. Okay, so let's back the mix off and get the parallel in there. Oh yeah, well I guess none of the other effects are parallel too, so I'm just going to turn those off just because they're not coming in parallel. I think they're straight up on the track. Yeah, even the EQ is, so that's kind of a bummer. But let's just go in with the compression. So you can hear as I bypassed it, you're getting parallel compression right in this plugin. I still would rather do it the other way. I never really ever do it this way, but this is a cool way to parallel compress something on one track in one plugin. The only bummer is, I mean, and maybe there's a way to do it. Maybe there's a way to set this up so that you can get these kind of reacting to the mix knob of the compressor, but I'm not sure how to do it. And that's not really something I'm focused on right now. So I'll just go back and forth here between our compressions. You get more control putting them out to an aux track because then you can individually affect these and then you can send out a kick and snare parallel compression track. I just like doing that better. You get more control, and I think control is what this whole thing is about. You know, you're trying to control a mix. So here's this. These are the raw drums. The plug-in compression. raw drums, and our parallel compression, our other parallel. So there you go. That's a couple parallel compression techniques. It's getting a little hairy with all the cymbals and stuff because, nothing's EQ'd here. Nothing's compressed individually. Just kind of wanted to give you a quick example. So that's parallel compression. Mess around with it. You have some fun. It's a great way to punch up your drums, retain some of the original dynamics, and not have to squash the whole kit to get a really kind of in-your-face punchy drum sound. And it really helps. It'll take some weak drums and make them strong. There you have it. Thanks for watching. If you like what I do and you want to support my band's links for Bandcamp are in the description. Buy a song. Help me out a little bit. Appreciate it. Take care.